So the wait is finally over as the BCCI has released the list of players who are in the squad for the Border Gavaskar Trophy 2024. We were waiting for this day, right? All of us were. Now you can see the squad here and you can pause and have a look at it completely. But coming to a few crucial points that I feel. Number one, it's overall a good side, especially considering the options that were available. I don't think we had many more options to consider from, so it's good among the available options. I'm slightly disappointed that Ruturaj hasn't been picked, but I also agree with the fact that he hasn't done anything outstanding in the past few months. He hasn't been among the runs, he hasn't been a top performer, and therefore maybe there wasn't any space for him. You couldn't have left anyone out, and that's okay. Abhimanyu Ishwaran is in, which I'm very happy about. For months, and in fact I think more than a year, I've been screaming that please have Abhimanyu Ishwaran in the Indian squad. And he had been in the squad for a while in between, but he was travelling with the team, he couldn't get his debut. Now he is most likely going to get his debut because Rohit Sharma, the captain, is likely to miss the first test and even the second test maybe. So in his absence, now you cannot ask a KL Rahul to open, right? And you don't have another third opener. And therefore, it is most likely that Abhimanyu Ishwaran will be opening for India in that first test at Perth alongside Yashasvi Jaiswal. Having said that, I think it's not going to be easy for him. It's going to be very difficult because he's not going to get the wickets he gets in India, right? The wickets are not going to be as uneven, as spin-friendly, as slow as they are in India. There won't be any assistance to the spinners, especially at Perth. That's what I feel. And the pitches will be much more bouncy, much more pacey, and he will have to be much more quick on his feet. So it's not going to be easy for Abhimanyu Ishwaran. A tough start for him in his international career is what I anticipate. And I think this is going to decide his international career from here, whether he continues to play for India or not. Unfortunately, he has to prove himself in Australia, debuting in Australia. The next thing is that Jasprit Bumrah. What do we see here? We see that there's VC written in front of his name, which means that he's the vice captain. He's been appointed so, and which also means that in the absence of Captain Rohit Sharma, he's the one going to be captaining India. He is, of course, likely to succeed Rohit when Rohit does choose to retire from Test cricket. But as of now, in the Perth Test, Jasprit Bumrah is the Indian captain. He's the one with the blazer going into the toss. And I think he's a good captain. We've seen very little of him, but I think he has a very good mind, very good cricketing mind. And that's a wonderful choice to have him as captain. Now, KL Rahul has again been picked, and I know he hasn't scored a lot of runs. In fact, he hasn't scored anything great in the last few months. But the fact is that he's the only experienced batter you've got who can play in the middle order. He has opened in Australia. He, in fact, debuted in Australia. It was a terrible debut, but then very next match, he scored a phenomenal 100. That was such an outstanding 100. Please watch the highlights. When you look at him, you feel like it's Rahul Dravid batting. When you look at the highlights, that's what you'll feel. His game has dipped since then, but then that was an outstanding innings, such a classic Test cricket innings. And KL Rahul, with his experience, having visited Australia so many times, having played these Australian bowlers, I think there wasn't a better choice than him for the middle order, and that's okay. Now, Rishabh Pant at number 5 or 6, wherever he bats, will be very crucial because these wickets do suit him. He has done outstandingly well. He was instrumental in winning us the last Border Gavaskar Trophy in Australia, and if we have to do well, he has to really fire again. And there's no reason for him not to, right? I think Rishabh Pant in Australia, he's going to really scare the Australian bowlers. They're going to discuss Rishabh Pant in the dressing room like they used to do about Virat earlier. Not that they won't discuss Virat anymore, but then Rishabh Pant is going to be the talk of the town in Australia. Now, what kind of a playing 11 does India go in with? I personally think India would want to go with 6 batters, a wicket-keeper and 4 bowlers, which is the right thing to do in my opinion. Opening Yashasvi Jaiswal, Abhimanyu Ishwaran, and later on Rohit comes and replaces Ishwaran. At 3 you've got Shubman Gill, at 4 Virat Kohli, at 5 Sarfaraz Khan or Rishabh Pant, the other one at 6. At 7 you've got KL Rahul. He can bat at 7 along with the tailenders. At 8, you play the only spinner, whether it's Washington Sundar or Ravindra Jadeja. And then you've got the 3 seamers, which is Jasprit Bumrah, captain, Mohammad Siraj and Akashdeep. Now, I understand that the bowling does look weak, especially the fast bowling, because Akashdeep is relatively new and we'll have to see how Bumrah and Siraj handle the pressure. Bumrah will also have the added pressure of captaincy. Therefore, I feel after the first two games, most likely the team is going to revisit and reassess when they see if Sarfaraz Khan and KL Rahul have performed as per their potential or not. And in the unlikely event of at least one of them not having performed to their optimum, I see Nitish Reddy, who's been in the squad, he's been drafted in the squad, not in the reserves, coming in and debuting for India. Yes, the same Nitish Reddy who's just performed so well in the T20s, about whom I've made a video calling him a right-handed Yuvraj Singh. I think he's a very good choice for that number 7 spot if we do need him, because he allows you a few overs of seam bowling as well, and he fills in the gap that has been left by Hardik Pandya and thereafter Shardul Thakur. Yes, Shardul Thakur was instrumental in those stitching those crucial partnerships. If you remember, that partnership with Washington Sundar helped us win in Gabba. And of course, Shardul Thakur was someone who had a knack of breaking those crucial partnerships when he was bowling. So that gap can be filled in by Nitish Reddy, a seam bowling all-rounder who is a good batter. So in case Sarfaraz Khan and KL Rahul or one of those is not able to perform in the first two tests, I see Nitish Reddy coming in as the 4th seamer and debuting for India. That will allow Jasprit Bumrah, Mohammad Siraj and Akashdeep a bit more freedom to try out their options, and the pressure of picking wickets will also be divided. What I was shocked about is that Harshit Rana, who hasn't played for India so far in Test cricket, has been drafted into the squad. Yes, he's not part of the reserves. Who's part of the reserves? Navdeep Saini, who was part of that historic squad that won in Australia last time, 2020-21. So it is a bit strange that Navdeep Saini, with all his experience, is in the reserves, and Harshit Rana, who hasn't played a single Test match, is drafted in through the squad. I understand that Navdeep Saini may not have the same rhythm right now, may not be in form, but then he has that experience. And for Harshit Rana, I don't know whether he'll debut or not, but to suddenly come in, bowl in those Australian wickets against the Australian batters who are going to hammer you if you don't get your length right, I think is going to be a bit difficult. So maybe having Navdeep Saini in the squad would have been a better bet. But only time can tell what's the right bet. Now, if India has to do well, the pacers have to deliver, which is difficult because Akashdeep has just debuted very recently. For him, it's gonna be a different challenge altogether, different skill sets in Australia. Mohammad Siraj has performed in the past, but now he is one of the premier fast bowlers. There's no Mohammad Shami, there's no Ishant Sharma. He has to deliver. Bumrah now is also the vice captain for the first two games, and also the lead pacer. So a lot rests on him. If he picks wickets, India wins. If he doesn't, India cannot win in Australia. He knows that. And apart from that, as far as the batting is concerned, I think Yashasvi Jaiswal, Shubman Gill and Virat Kohli, these 3 top batters, they have to have a very good series. They have to be at the top of their games. If they are, India will do well. But if at least 2 of these 3 are not at their best, India may not find it easy to play in Australia, and it may turn out to be a forgettable series for India. Well, we're not going to think about what all could go wrong. We're going to focus on our strengths and do our very best. I think this is going to be a very exciting series. And we are back to that time when, the winter mornings in India, early morning, you wake up with your blankets on you, watching the test match in the morning. The red ball swinging, the red ball carrying, lot of sledging, wickets falling, boundaries being hit. Oh, I just cannot wait for it. Do stay with Balla Ball all through this Border Gavaskar Trophy. We're going to bring you some amazing coverage this time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.